Right, is that any better? Is that any better for the audio? No? That's me now, right. Helps. It helps if you switch the microphone on. Right. Sorry guys, I forgot to switch the microphone on. Right, what we're doing tonight. I'm going to be doing, well, showing you how I use tools. Now, just because this is the way I use them doesn't mean it's the right way. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong way either, but this is the way that I use them. What I've got on the lathe at the moment, I've got a Spindle blank, which I think is poplar. I think it's about 2-inch square spindle blank, something like that. Not very long. I'm just going to show you how I rough down. I'm going to show you some exercises to do. This is what I tend to do every time I come in the workshop. I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes with the spindle gouge just doing exercises. So we'll get on. I'll alter the camera angle. I've got the camera in a different position today, so let me know if you can't see anything. It might end up hitting me arm. Grand. Now what I'm going to do, just give us a second, I'm just going to alter the settings. I might not have this on high definition. Oh yeah, I'm on high definition. That's fine, okay. Right, so I take it everybody can see that okay. So, first off, going to be using the rough and gouge. I'll have my angle on the rough and gouge sharpened at 45 degrees, and it's sharpened straight across. The wings don't come back or anything. I'm going to be turning at around about, that's nearly 2000, that is. Now the thing to remember about any tools is, if you present them wrong, you're probably going to get hurt. So if you present this and you're just going to hit on the bevel, all it's going to do is knock it back. Nobody's getting hurt on that. And then what you do is bring it up till it starts cutting. There you are. And move it along. Hi Jimmy. I forgot to say hello. David's in there. Hi David, Leona, Jimmy, Billy's in, Stacey's in, Nick's in, Jen's in. Hello to everybody. Hope you're all well. And then you can go to the other end and do the same. Always try and remember to switch off when you're moving the tool rest. I sometimes do forget that. And then you can use the back of the tool to see if you're down to round. So I'm round in the middle. I've got a couple of flat spots there, and I've got a couple of flat spots there. Now, it depends on how you present the tool. You can actually get quite a nice plane and cut using the rough and gouge as well. But that's it down to the round. Just tighten that up a bit. Hiya, Sneaks. Good evening, Andy. Happy birthday, Viking Lord. Right, what I'm going to do now, right, I'll just show you a quick thing with the parting tool, if I can find it. There it is. Right, the parting tool. Obviously used for parting off. Some people have a tendency, when they're using the parting tool, just to go straight in, like that. Not really the right way of using the parting tool. Again, present the bevel first. When you present the bevel, you can bring it up, or start bringing the handle up till you start the cut, and you actually get a much smoother cut doing it that way. And you're bringing it up, so by the time you get down to the centre, you're actually finishing on the centre point. And that gives a nice, fairly smooth cut using the parting tool. I'm just going to draw some pencil lines. They don't have to be equal. This is just a practice. Right, the spindle gouge. It always looks like it's going out of focus. Is the focus okay, Dale? Right, I wonder if I move it back, it'll be any better. Right, my spindle tool, it's a two-ended spindle tool. On this end, I've got a fingernail grind, and what I've got is the bevel is at 45 degrees, and the other part's at 45 degrees. I can't remember the name of that. And on the other end, hi Huey, on the other end I've got a swept back grind. So that's for more detail work. And all I'm going to be doing here is just a series of beads and a series of coves. So again, when you're presenting the tool, present the bevel first, then bring the handle up till you start getting the cut. Now I'm starting with the tool straight up, if you like, at 12 o'clock. So the flute of the tool, if you like, is at 12 o'clock. And to do a cove, basically all you do is move it across so it ends up at 9 o'clock. And then on the other side, you do the same thing so it ends up at 3 o'clock. You wouldn't have heard that from Dale, but he's just said he's paying that close attention. He hasn't even opened his Jaffa cakes yet. I'll just take this bit off just so you can see that cove. And then we're going to do the same thing, just going along. Hi T, hope your internet's working okay tonight. I tell you, I think I've got too many lights on. Switch everything off there. Oh, hang on. What's happened here? My lid's just packed in. Right, where's my lights? That's that one. That's that one. Is that any better? Right. I wonder if I switch them two back on. Sorry for this, guys. I'm just trying to get the lighting sorted. Right, let's try it with that light. This will be better when I go on to doing the bull gouge. Hi Rich, hi Cheryl. Right, so that's just a series of coves that I've done. Sorry, a series of beads. So what I'll do now is just a series of coves. And the way you do the coves is basically opposite to the way you do beads. You start off sort of at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and you finish up in the middle at 12 o'clock. I think it's a lot to do with the lights. Hi Russell. Hi Free Living. So that's basically now, there's no clean edges on this because it's just a practice, and I'm just showing you what I do as a daily practice when I come in the workshop, just to get me head in gear, if you like. So it's just a series of beads, a series of coves using the spindle gouge, just as a bit of practice. I put the spindle gouge in. I bet Woody isn't in yet, is he? Woody Woodcraft. I put the spindle gouge in because Woody wanted to see it, but I don't know if he's actually in the chat or not. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to change over. I'll probably move the camera and everything else, so bear with me while I do that. I'm going to put a bowl blank on. A pommel cut. Can you explain a pommel cut, Ronnie? Yeah. Right. That's called a pommel cut. Okay, right. Bear with me just a second. think this will just fit into the chuck rather than swapping them over again. Hi Maggie. Yeah, right, so this cut is when you're going to put like on the top of a stair newel post. You might have a round on the top of the stair, on the top of the newel post, and it actually goes into a square section for the newel post. Now obviously if I was doing this maybe for a furniture maker or something like that, all the sides would be planed. Okay. Now these can go straight in, or they can go in at an angle. You can use the spindle gouge, or you can use the skew. Right, I'll just round this off. You see that 7:30 is it? Is 7:30, 6:30 or 7:30? It's even more difficult to explain for that one if you actually live in Germany, because they don't say 2:30 anything, they say time 2. So for 7:30, it would be, oh, what's it, 7:30? I think it's fiddle 4 act, so that's 8:30. I think that's how they do it in Germany. Hi, Doug. So there you go. That's the pommel cut. I don't know if you saw the photographs I put up the other day of the the mouldings I did for a furniture restorer. They were an absolute bloody nightmare to do. Right, I'm going to change things around a bit, guys, so bear with me. I'm going to be moving the camera to where it usually is. Hi, GSG. Right, you're going for a flying travel. You see that? You all get a free ride. No charge for that one. Right, we'll start off with a chuck. Right, it's a 4-jaw chuck. I'm going to see if I can just get a bit closer with the camera. Yeah, I just want to show the jaws a bit better. Right, now the way the jaws on these chucks are made is that it's all turned on in a wanner on a metal turning lathe, and then it's actually cut into 4. So it's split into 4. Therefore, when the jaws are completely closed, it's not a proper circle, because they've had that bit cut out where it's been cut into 4. It's only when you start opening the jaws up to around about there, that's when it's the full circle. And on these particular jaws, that's about 67 mil. For those of you in the States, I can't be bothered working it out in inches. 67. Two and a half inches near enough. Right, that's the ideal size for expansion mode. In the last edition of the wood turning magazine, there was a record power sales catalogue in there, and it actually had a very good explanation about the 4-jaw chuck, because all these chucks are basically made the same. Okay, they've got different configurations and everything, but they're basically all made the same way. And once you start getting out and opening the jaws up further, it's not a circle anymore. All these points here, mid-jaw, these are all the high points. So if you get out really wide with the jaws, and they're not built for that, you're only actually holding the wood on these 4 points, which means it's not very secure. Now, there's a whole variety of ways of actually holding the blank. Wait till I turn that lathe down before I forget. A whole load of ways. My preferred way, which I've shown people before, is I bought a 67 mil Forstner bit off eBay from China, less than £6, I think it was. And that's an ideal one to get to go onto these particular jaws. If you find out the ideal size or what your jaw size is, you can get Forstner bits probably to fit just about any of them. And also, when you're tightening up, don't just tighten up on one point of the chuck. There's usually the 3 or 4 points on the chuck to tighten up. So tighten up on all of them. Yeah, it's starting to get a bit cold here as well. Not in my workshop, I've got to say, because it's nice and toasty in here. Because I've got the wood burner on. Right, so what have I got here? I've got a piece of sycamore, a little bit of spalting in it, 10.5 inch by 3. Well, you would know that, Andy, if Santa was a Viking. Right. It's actually freezing here as well, Debbie, which is why I've got the fire on. Right, my ball gouge. Now, the ball gouge differs from the spindle gouge in that it's got a deeper flute. So the one with the blue handle, that's the spindle gouge. The one with the red handle is the ball gouge. It's got a deeper flute. Now, my preferred grind on this is a fingernail grind. So again, I've got a fingernail grind on here, 45 degrees bevel, 45 back this way, and it's just swept back a small amount. Now, again, I've got a two-ended ball gouge. So the other end is basically swept back a bit further. I also use what's commonly called a traditional grind. Traditional grind, I suppose, called an English grind as well. And this one is fairly straight across. It's absolutely excellent for doing the bottom of bowls, so you don't get any bevel rub from the swept back grinds. So again, whenever you're presenting the tool, try and present the, you're not going to be able to see this bit, but the most important part is when I'm doing the bottom anyway. I'm just going to, right, I get my gouges from Simon Hope, who is in, where is he? South of England somewhere. He does have a website where you can order from. And he will be at Harrogate this weekend as well, at the North of England Woodworking and Power Tool Show. Right, I'm about 750 there. If I go any higher, the lathe's going to start shaking about. So I'm just going to get this rounded off. Remember to turn the gouge back around. Wee bit of a flat there, but that doesn't really matter. I'll get rid of that when I'm shaping. Right, tool rest height. I've got the tool rest sitting just under the center point. I'll explain that when I come to the middle. Now, there's a whole variety of ways that people use their gouges. A lot of people use a pull cut. So again, if you introduce the bevel first, turn it around until it starts cutting, and that's your pull cut. Some people, when they're cleaning the bottom off, including me, use a push cut. So I've got the bevel on, bring the tool around until it starts to cut, and then you're pushing. You want the direction of the angle of the bevel in the direction that you're going. Andy, I had a quick swap messages with Alison Well, when was that? A couple of weeks ago, I was asking about the price of the faux ivory, because I was going to use some for doing some hollow forms with. Okay. Certain times I will take stuff, if you like, but I always like to give back when I'm doing that, which is what I'm doing with Glyn. I hate going asking people for things, so I probably won't do that. But thanks for letting me know anyway, Andy. Right, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a slight dish in the bottom. It's not going to be that big, but it just gives something for the bowl to stand on rather than having it trying to get it perfectly flat. I'm just going to move the tool rest up a wee bit. It's just a wee bit low for what I'm wanting to do. Andy, I'll give you, once I've finished tonight and get back in the house, I'll drop you a message. Is that okay? Right, so I've got a very slight dish in there, and now we're going to mark out for the mortise, because I always tend to use a mortise. Although last week on the Natural Edge U piece I did actually use a tenon on there because I was taking the foot off. Now, if you're going to use dividers for putting the mortise in, only have the left leg of the divider on top of the tool rest for measuring. Don't let the right leg touch the wood, because obviously the wood is going round that way, and if that leg touches, it's going to flip up, it can come back, it's very sharp, it can give you a nasty injury. Now again, I see a lot of people using parting tools, carbide tools and things like this for cleaning out the mortise for the chuck. That's fine. If you're comfortable doing that, that's fine. I tend to just use my bull gouge. I use 2 bull gouges for doing this. I've got that bull gouge, and I use another one that's swept back. It's a smaller size, and I just use this one just to come in. Yeah, this one's a 1/2 inch. Now that's about the only time you're going to see me in an enclosed space going from the inside to the outside. And I'll explain why when I flip it over and do the inside of the bowl. So I've got a scraper here, negative risk scraper, which is angled for the angle on the mortise, and I'm just going to clean that out. That's that done. How deep do you need the mortise? You can go as deep as you like, up to the depth of the jaws. But realistically, if you've got the mortise sized properly and the angle done properly, you don't actually need very much in there. I think I've got, again, this will probably end up being in mils. I actually bought that one, Lance. It's a very old Marples one. I've actually bought them second hand. So I've got one that's shaped that way. I've got one that's shaped, don't worry, I'm just chucking stuff about, shaped the other way. I've got a round nose one and a flat one. But the very old Marples chisels, which I got a hell of a long time ago. Right, so again, shaping the bowl. Decide on what shape you're going to have to start off with. This one's going to be a fairly simple shape. Whenever you're holding, I can't actually see that very well, but whenever you're using your gouge, sorry, Dale. No bother. Whenever you're using your gouge, you've got it on the tool rest. Get it jammed into your hip. Okay, and it's actually your body movement that's doing the shaping. It's not. Go on. Jen, you know me so well. If I don't drop something during the live, there's something wrong. Right, so I've got the bevel on, turn it round, starting the cut, and you can see I'm at quite a steep angle here. Now I can make quite big cuts on this. I've got a 2 horsepower motor on this, and it's a very sturdy lathe, so I can make very aggressive cuts. You're not wanting to have too much overhang over the tool rest, so always keep altering your tool rest. Again, the annoying thing with working with traditional lathes, if you like, that have got bed bars, once you get all the way around and at the bed bar, it's difficult to do this cut, which is where I changed to a push cut. Hi, Larry. Again, now, where was it? I think at UKIS last year, Ed Oliver of Oliver's Wood Turning was doing a demo on bowl turning, speed bowl turning. He had the same as me, he had a Forstner bit in the thing, but he was doing a lot of his work going from the outside of the bowl to the inside of the bowl, if you like, going downhill like that. And he got picked up by a member of the AWGB for basically cutting wrong. But he was getting a very good finish off it, so it's not wrong, it's what suits him. Right, bowls are predominantly done. Hi, Fenrica. Bowls are predominantly done in cross grain, so the grain is running across the wood like that. So you've got 2 portions, you've got end grain here, and you've got end grain there. And that's usually the bits that people have problems with tear out on the end grain. All right. Dale's just told me he's been doing something totally different and doing end grain bowls. I think these are his rice bowls that he does. Right, if you cut from the inside of the bowl, if you like, towards the outside of the bowl, sort of going up the hill, if you like, what you're doing is, as you're cutting, you're not. I'll see if I can give an example here. On this part here, what you're actually doing, you're going into the end grain on this part here. So that's where you're going to get the tear out. But on everything else, as you're putting the tool across, it's actually pressing the grain down. So it's basically riding the bevel. And it's riding the bevel that gives the good cut. Now I've had to move to a push cut here because the bed bars are in the way. Hi Scott. You can go as fast or as slow as you like doing this. And you can be as aggressive or as fine as you like as well. So I'll just take a couple of small cuts just to show you what that's like. That's where you start getting your angel hair. Right, how big should the foot of the bowl be? Lots and lots of discussion about this type of thing. It really all depends if you're going to be making something functional or if you're going to be making something arty-farty. Because you do get some bowls that have got very small feet on them. But because of the shape of the bowl, they actually look absolutely tremendous. You get some where people put very wide feet on them. And to me, that doesn't leave enough to play with on the sides for getting a decent shape. A lot of folk these days start going on about the golden mean or the golden ratio. The golden mean is a ratio. It's 1 to 1.6 to 1. It's been used for thousands of years by stonemasons. You find it a lot in nature with various flowers, shells, and things like this. But then people in wood turn around and they start talking about the golden ratio, and then they start talking about 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is not the golden ratio. They talk about splitting things into thirds. Splitting things into thirds does work. So if you have a base of a third, and then if you like, the two sides are a third as well, it does get some nice pleasing shape. Yeah, a lot of the professionals do. Right, so let's have a quick measure. I said it was about 10.5 inches. Hi, Steve. I'm going to go with about there. It's a bit more than a third. And again, realistically, when you're doing the initial shaping like I am here, it doesn't really matter how rough the piece of wood looks, because I'm going to actually finish this with a finishing cut. And I am getting a fair bit of tear out there. In fact, that's the pith. I've still got the pith in this as well. I'm going to go to my smaller gouge with the swept back swept back blade, if you like, on it. I'm just refining the shape a wee bit. Thank you. It's Leona's favourite, the timber. Right, so there we are. That's basically how I use the gouge on the outside. I've knocked out nearly all of the tear out there. I've got a wee bit here, but that'll actually get sorted just now when I sand it. What, the right angle drill? All right. Yes, aye. Hi, Brian. Yes, it is. I do have an inertia sander, but I've been that used to using a drill for that many years. I still prefer the drill. Don't get me wrong, the inertia sanders do work. They work very well. I've got the Simon Hope one, and they do work very well. It's just I've got a preference for using the drill, that's all. You're right there, JP. That was the 80 grit gouge. One of my favourite gouges. Here's Brian. Does anybody feel the same way as me sometimes when they put photographs up, or when they're doing a video, when they're doing a live, something like this, and somebody turns around? Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it anyway, but you'll have people say, "Absolutely lovely grain there, Wayne. I've had this on Facebook so many times. That's beautiful grain." I didn't make the grain. The grain was already there. I'm just doing the bowl. But I do appreciate the comments anyway. Right, that's done to 240. So you can probably guess what's going to happen now. Give that a wipe off. Right, so that mortise where the chuck is going to sit is now it's around about, no, let's get that right on the edge there. That's around about 4 mil. So, acrylic sand and sealer. You can use cellulose sand and sealer. It's really up to you. It's a personal thing on what you use. Now, what I would normally do, I'm just going to give this a quick wipe off. What I would normally do, if I wasn't going to be using Yorkshire grit, if I was just going to be putting a finish straight on top of the sand and sealer, I'd use one of these Scotch-Brite pads to knock it back. But seeing as how I am using Yorkshire grit, Yorkshire grit. You can nearly see this, read the label. Seeing as how I am using this, there's no need to knock the sand and sealer back. So I've sanded to 240. It's had a coat of sand and sealer on. I'm going to turn that right down. That's at around about, that's just a 300 there. And I'm going to start rubbing it in. I'm using the same piece of paper I used to put it on. Rub it in well, let it do its magic. The abrasive in this, which is rotten stone, as you're rubbing it in, it breaks down, becomes finer and finer and finer. You start speeding it up. Get a clean bit of paper and keep on rubbing it in. And you want to keep on doing this until the paper you're using comes away clean. Great, very good. Speed up again. That's us just on 700 there now. Getting it really rubbed in. I'm just going to get a clean piece of paper. And that's it. So that's the Yorkshire grit done its work. No tear out at all now. And I'm going to finish it with microcrystalline wax. Microcrystalline wax is really very good if you're making pieces that are going to be handled a lot. Because once it's dry, once it's cured, it does resist finger marks. Night, Andy. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Yeah, I do. Dale's just asked if I keep the cloth in the tub with the wax. Yeah, that's something that I tend to do. Yeah. Right, so I could leave that now for 10 minutes, come back and use the buffing wheel. But what I'll probably do is just do that once I've turned the inside. And when you're reversing the bowl to turn the top, press it in the center so it actually centralizes the bowl. So again, for straightening off the top, you can either use a pull cut, which is this one, or you can use a push cut. Just need a fair bit taken off here first. No, I just keep them in the. I keep all my waxes just out here in the workshop, Steve. Yes, it gets cold, but once I'm in here and got the fire on, it warms up very, very quickly. I don't know if you can hear that, but around about there, that chattering, I bet there's a knot there. Yep, there it is. That may or may not come out. So again, I've got the bevel pointing in the direction that I'm wanting to go. Enrique, I've got a wood burning stove. So, cutting the inside of a bowl. Decide on how wide you want your rim. If it's going to be a bowl, a utility bowl, if you like, the rim's going to be fairly thin because you want to have enough space in there to hold something. Oh, while we're on the subject, does anybody know the difference between a fruit bowl and a salad bowl in general terms? Apart from one holds fruit and the other one holds... Go on, Dale. No, it's not depth, JP. What you tend to find, I'll not be able to do it. Right, on the bowl, what you tend to find with the salad bowl is that it tends to be enclosed. So it comes over because you're actually holding the salad. You're not wanting anything to fall out. With the fruit bowl, they tend to be more open. You want them open because you're actually showing the fruit off. That's what I was told back in the 80s anyway. Right, cutting the inside of the bowl. I always go from the outside of the bowl towards the inside of the bowl. Again, it's to do with the grain orientation because I'm cutting down this way now. So I'm cutting onto the end grain there, but I'm actually flattening the fibers down as I go. The other thing is that if I start here and I start cleaning out and coming out this way, the speed of the bowl itself is actually faster at this point than what it is at this point. So you've got a lot of centrifugal force going on. And if I'm coming out like this and I get a catch, it's going to whip the bull gouge out and I'm standing right in the line of fire. So I may well get hit. So that's one of the main reasons I don't do it. And you'll probably see when I'm turning this, I tend to leave a chunk of wood in the center and clean that out later. That's something that I just tend to do. Primarily, you do that with thin-walled bowls. You need to have that piece in the center for when you're doing thin-walled bowls, so you've still got the stability there. If you were to clean it all out and you want to get a very thin-walled bowl, you're going to get a lot of vibration. Having that bulk of wood in the middle tends to cut down on that vibration. Plus, if you are doing a thin-walled bowl, you're always as well going so far down and finishing that part of the bowl off, sanding and everything, and not going back to it with a gouge because of the vibration issue as well. I think what I'll do with this one, I'm going to make the rim around about the same thickness as what that knot is. So hopefully it'll stay in place. Again, have the bevel in the direction you want the cut to go. Yeah, well, that happens sometimes. Right, just try to put the parting tool again. Now, sometimes what can happen is you're going along quite nicely and you're getting all the shape of the bowl done and everything. You want to take one final cut, you get a wee cut, and it skites across and ruins the outside of the bowl. So what you can do to prevent that is just using a parting tool. I think I've just explained that, Mike, but I'll go over it again. If you leave a bulk of wood in the middle when you're turning, that gives a lot of stability to the bowl. If you're turning a thin-rimmed bowl, or a thin-walled bowl, I should say, go down so far on the wall of the bowl with the depth, with the thickness of wall that you want, go down so far and finish it completely. Do all your sanding and everything. You don't necessarily have to do the finishing on there, but do all your sanding. Then go down a bit farther, still with the thickness you want, and finish that bit off. Once you've finished one bit of the wall off that's very thin, don't go back to it because you are going to get that vibration. Does that explain okay, Mike? I'm just going to give my gouge a quick sharpen. Bear with me. No problem, Mike. See what happened there? It skited. But seeing as how I've got in with the parting tool, it actually stopped it ruining the top of the bowl. And then you can move further in. Now the tool itself, with the flute straight up and down, if you call that 12 o'clock, I've got the tool sitting at around about, the flute of the tool sitting at around about 2 o'clock. Have a check of the thickness. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm getting a bit far from the tool rest down here now, so I'm just going to clean some of the centre out and move the tool rest. At the moment, Mike, I'm at about 750. Just going to move that in a bit. I don't think I'm going much higher because I think it's still not that well balanced, tell you the truth. That's up just over 800. Now this is a fairly thick walled bowl, so I can actually go back here just to get some bits finished off. Because now again, I don't know if you can see very well, but you probably see when I'm starting to cut here, I'm way above the center point, and then I just bring the tool down and work towards the center point, always finishing actually right on center. Now what can happen is using even a fingernail gouge or a really swept back gouge, Once you start getting to the bottom of the bowl, the heel of the bevel can start catching on the bottom of the bowl, which is where the traditional cut comes in really well. No, no, Steve, not tonight. Hi, Donna. Bloody sore finger again. I keep on knocking the flaming scab off it. I've just got a little ridge here where I use the parting tool, so I'm just going to try and get rid of that. There we go. Right, back to the 80 grit gouge. Hi, Mike. No. And I certainly wouldn't, if I did do CA finishes, sorry, Ronnie, to answer your question. No, I don't do CA finishes. If I did do CA finishes, I certainly wouldn't be doing a CA finish on a bowl because that would be very, very cost prohibitive. But even on pens, when I do make pens, which isn't that often, I've got to say, I don't do CA finishes on pens. I tend to finish all my pens with, and I've got some here. I tend to finish all my pens with carnauba wax. That's what I use as a finish. Oh, you guys crack me up, you really do. It's just what's coming to hand tonight, Debbie, on the sanding sealer. The spray-on can be easy to use. That's the acrylic one. I do use a hell of a lot of the cellulose sanding sealer. But that's in sort of liquid form, and I thin it down with cellulose thinners. In fact, who was that? Sorry, Mark, did you say? Oh, Ark Woodcraft. Hi, Ark. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Right, I've got my cellulose sanding sealer in this pot here, and it's one of these pots that come with a brush. Now, I've hunted high. I got these years ago, and I don't remember where I got them from. So, if anybody knows where you can actually buy them, if you could drop me a line and let me know, because I could do with some more. And speed down. Okay. To tell you the truth, Ronnie, I'm not that interested in CA finishes. Thanks for the offer. But like I say, I don't know where you're from, but certainly in the UK, to do a CA finish on a bowl, I mean, the cost would be absolutely out there. It'd be an absolute nightmare. But it's not something I've ever fancied using. I don't think I can get away with the smell. Right, and now we're going back to the microcrystalline wax. Okay, I'll have a look and see if I agree with them. All right. Was that Hugh? You said that. All right. Right, Huey, where's the Star of David at? Cheers, Nick. I will certainly do that. Thanks very much for that. Right, guys. It's done. So, that's basically how, a wee bit on what I do with the spindle gouge, but a wee bit on how to use the chuck. But realistically, this is the end result from how I use a bull gouge. What are we doing until, oh, bloody hell, we're going to be less than an hour here. Oh, no, not just on an hour. Yeah. Right, it's finished. I'll come round, I'll change the camera and everything, and I'll come round, we'll have a chat before I go in the house. Grand. Right, deal. I will, I'll switch off. Yeah, I'll cut you loose and I'll catch you in the chat. Right. Just give us a couple of minutes to get sorted. That's me. I thought I'd lost you there. I'm back. I'm here. I'll take my headphones off now. Right. That's it. I'm here. I thought I'd gone away for good there. Cue for a song. Right, how is everybody? So that's the bowl. I don't know if I'll show up any better on this camera. Just a nice, simple bowl. But really tonight was about showing how I use the gouge. And like I say, it's not... thanks, Cheryl. It's not, that's just my way of doing things. It's not necessarily the right way. It's not necessarily the wrong way. It's just the way that I do things, the way that I find it easiest. I had my first wood turning lesson. Oh God, when was that? Around about, it was the late 80s anyway, down at a place called Cross Supplies, which was near Buxton in Derbyshire. It's since moved now, moved a couple of times. I think it's part of Turner's Retreat now. So the initial guy I got taught from was a guy called Jamie Walwyn. And I also had lessons from a guy from Cumbria called Maurice Mullins, who is sadly no longer with us. He was an exceptional teacher, he was. And obviously I've, well, I do watch YouTube a lot. Tell you the truth, I watch YouTube more on the art channels rather than the wood turning channels, so I can pick up new ideas for colouring. And I'm not having a glass of wine tonight, believe it or not. I'm driving down to Harrogate tomorrow to help Glyn set his stand up, ready for the weekend. So if you are going down, remember to pop by and say hello. Stand 68B. We're there all weekend. Right then, I think that's me. My lives tend to be a bit shorter than other people's. I don't know if that's because I don't have anybody in alongside us having a chat. I just have somebody in my ear. But I don't like to keep people too long because sometimes people have got other things to do. Are you going on Sunday, cuz? Oh, yes, Dale. Steak, whiskey, and booze. That sounds like a plan. That'll be Saturday night then. Right, guys, that's it. I've finished. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I explained things to my best ability. I hope you've actually gained something from what I've done tonight. That was the whole purpose of doing this. I think next week I'll be back to me usual colouring, texturing, something like that. So I'll see you soon. I'm going to end now and let you get away. Thanks for joining in.